Be me, 26, PhD candidate in sociology at top-tier liberal arts university. Thesis focuses on the construction of danger, how blue-collar industries fabricate risk to maintain wage inflations and gender exclusivity. Spent last 4 years arguing that hazardous trades like deep-sea welding, oil rig labor, and saturation diving are essentially gate-kept clubs. My argument is simple. Modern technology has automated the danger away. Robotics, ROVs, and advanced exosuits do the heavy lifting. The danger pay and strict physical requirements are just artifices designed to keep the labor supply low and the culture homogeneous. Believe that the tough guy persona of these workers is a performance, not a necessity. Constantly writing papers about how the brotherhood of the rig is actually a toxic exclusionary mechanism. Decide to pull a gonzo journalism stunt for my dissertation. Going to infiltrate the industry. Plan to get certified as a commercial diver, get hired on a rig, and document how easy the job actually is. Goal: expose the industry as a scam. Prove that an intellectual with zero trade experience can outperform the unskilled laborers. Research commercial diving schools. Find a notorious academy in Louisiana known for its military-style discipline and high washout rate. Perfect. If I can beat their toughest program, my thesis is bulletproof. Apply. Requirements: swim 400 meters, tread water for 15 minutes, basic medical clearance. Laughable. I swim laps at the university heated pool twice a week. This is going to be a vacation. Pack my bags. Bring my laptop, 3 GoPros, and a stack of books on feminist theory and labor economics. Arrive in Louisiana. Humidity hits me like a wet blanket. The school is a collection of rusted shipping containers and murky tanks in the middle of a swamp. Meet the other recruits. 30 guys, 2 women. Most are ex-military, farm boys, or guys who look like they've been fixing trucks since they were 6. They speak in thick accents, dipping tobacco, talking about trucks and hunting. I introduce myself as a researcher interested in industrial dynamics. They look at me like I'm an alien. One guy, Tex, asks if I've ever held a wrench. I tell him I understand the mechanics of torque and leverage perfectly well from my physics electives. He laughs. First week is classroom theory. Gas laws, Boyle's law, Dalton's law, decompression sickness physiology. I crush it. While the meatheads are struggling to do basic multiplication to calculate partial pressures, I'm finishing the exams in 10 minutes. Feel smug. This confirms my theory. These guys aren't smart. They're just willing to be uncomfortable. If the intellectual barrier is this low, the physical one must be exaggerated too. Instructor is a crusty old master diver named Sheaf. Missing 2 fingers on his left hand. Tells us, the classroom is where you learn how not to die. The water is where you learn why you want to live. Melodramatic nonsense. Week 2 pool week, put on the wetsuit. We are using heavy commercial gear. Kirby Morgan Superlight helmets. Weighs about 30 pounds out of water. Neck dam, yoke, bailout bottle on the back. Total gear weight is nearly 80 pounds. I stagger a bit standing up. Tex helps me steady myself. I brush him off. I got it. Jump in the pool. Neutral buoyancy makes the weight vanish. See? Easy. Drill is simple. Assemble a flange underwater, blindfolded, to simulate zero visibility. Instructor blacks out my faceport. Darkness. Suddenly, the claustrophobia kicks in. I can hear my own breathing. Loud, raspy. Darth Vader sounds. Reach out with gloved hands. Gloves are thick neoprene. Can't feel anything. Trying to thread a nut onto a bolt I can't see. Fumble. Drop the nut. It sinks to the bottom of the pool. Spend 10 minutes groping around the concrete floor trying to find it. Air supply is loud. Hiss. Click. Hiss. Click. Start feeling hot despite the cool water. Finally find the nut. Try to thread it again. Cross-thread it. Can't get it off. Panic rising. Instructor taps my helmet. Time's up. Surface. I'm sweating profusely inside the helmet. Tex finished his flange in 4 minutes. I took 20 and failed. Instructor asks what happened. I explain that the gloves are poorly designed and the tactile feedback is non-existent. He just stares. The ocean don't care about the design, son. Fix it. Attribute it to equipment unfamiliarity. Next week, the Bayou dive. Actual open water. Zero visibility mud. Task. Airlift sediment to clear a pipeline for inspection. Using a vacuum hose that sucks mud. Current is strong. Jump off the barge. Hit the water. Sink into the mud. It's not like the pool. I sink up to my knees in silt. Can't see my hand in front of my face. Pitch black, brown darkness. Turn on the light. Just reflects off the particles. Makes it worse. Have to crawl along the pipe I feel. Umbilical, breathing hose and comms. Feels like it's pulling me back. Current catches the hose. Drags me sideways. I fight it. Muscles burning within 5 minutes. This isn't cardio. This is static strain. Fighting the water. Fighting the mud. Locate the work site. Turn on the airlift. The suction kicks back like a mule. Hose whips around. Hits me in the helmet. Loud clang. Ringing in my ears. Disoriented. Don't know which way is up. Start hyperventilating. CO2 builds up in the helmet. Headache sets in instantly. Feel the urge to rip the helmet off. Suicide impulse. Voice on comms, diver 2, watch your breathing. You sound like a steam train. It's Chief. I gasp out. Equipment malfunction. Difficult. Conditions. Chief, stand by. Text comes down the line. I can't see him, but I feel a hand on my shoulder. He grabs the airlift hose, wrestles it into position, guides my hand to the valve. We finish the job. Surface. I'm exhausted. Vomit salt water and bile as soon as the neck dam is cracked. Tex looks fine. Just spit some tobacco juice. Rough current today. Huh? College? I nod, too weak to argue. Write in my journal that night. The reliance on brute strength is a primitive holdover. Better engineered stabilizers would negate the need for this physical exertion. The difficulty is artificial. Managed to scrape through the academy. Passed the written exams with 100%. Passed the physicals with the bare minimum scores. Instructors hesitate to graduate me. I threaten a lawsuit based on discriminatory grading practices. They sign my card. Good luck out there. Don't get anyone killed. I view this as a victory against the old guard. Move to phase 2, get a job offshore. Apply to major diving companies. Rejected. No experience. Finally get picked up by a subcontractor in the Gulf of Mexico, specialized in urgent repair. Basically the guys they call when things are foobar. Show up at the dock, board the supply vessel. Ride out 100 miles. The rig is a rusted monstrosity. Meet the team. 4 guys. Supervisor is a guy named Bear, 6'4", built like a refrigerator, beard down to his chest. He looks at my shiny new gear. You the PhD? Word travels fast. Yes. I'm here to work. Bear grunts. You're here to tend hose until I say otherwise. Don't touch anything unless told. Spend 3 weeks as a tender, hauling heavy umbilical hoses on deck. Sun is brutal. Steel deck is 110 degrees. My hands are blistered and raw. Back spasms constantly. Watch the divers go down. They work 4-hour shifts at 200 feet. Come up, decompress, eat, sleep, repeat. I interview them during downtime. Ask about toxic masculinity and emotional labor. They look at me like I'm speaking Mandarin. Look, man, I just want to pay off my truck and my ex-wife, says one. Do you feel the physical demands are exclusionary? I ask. The ocean excludes you if you're weak, he says. Physics doesn't give a stuff about your feelings. I write this down as internalized depression. Finally, my chance. Diver 3 gets a sinus infection. Can't dive. Bear needs a body in the water. Looks at me. You certified? Yes. Suit up. Inspection and anode replacement on the jacket leg. 180 feet. This is it, the proving ground. Get dressed. Hot water suit. Pump hot water from the surface into the suit to keep warm. Helmet on. Check comms. Into the basket. Lowered into the water. Green fades to blue. Blue fades to black. 180 feet down. Pressure is immense. I can feel the density of the water. Lights on. Leg of the oil rig looks like a cathedral of rust and barnacles. Schools of fish swirl around. It's actually beautiful. Confidence returning. Reach the work site. Task. Burn off an old anode using a Broco torch, underwater cutting torch, and weld a new one on. Have practiced this in the tank. Strike the arc. The torch is terrifying. Burns at 10,000 degrees. Bubbles of hydrogen and oxygen everywhere. Loud explosions as the bubbles pop. Current picks up, pushing me away from the rig. I wrap my legs around a cross brace, Barnacles tear through my suit. Hot water leaks out. Cold water rushes in, freezing instantly. Teeth chattering. Try to maintain the arc. Hand shaking uncontrollably from the cold and the strain. The rod gets stuck. I pull. Slip. Torch swings wild. Cuts through my own umbilical. Hiss SSS. Sudden silence. No air. No comms. Main air supply severed. Panic. Absolute primal lizard brain panic. I am 180 feet underwater. I have maybe 2 minutes of air in my bailout bottle on my back. Fumble for the valve. Can't find it. Gloves are slippery. Hands are numb from cold. Vision tunneling. I'm going to die. I'm going to die in the dark for a thesis paper. Scream into the mask. Wasting oxygen. Suddenly, a light. Bear. He was diving standby. He moves like a shark. Efficient. Violent. Grabs my harness. Yanks me against the rig structure. Reaches behind me. Cracks my bailout valve. Hiss. Air flows. I suck it in greedily. He grabs my severed umbilical. Ties it off to prevent flooding. Plugs his auxiliary hose into my helmet. Pneumofathometer hose for emergency air. He looks into my faceport. Gives me the OK sign. But his eyes are furious. He holds me there. Wait for the basket. Ride up together. Decompression stops. Sit in the chamber for hours. Silence. Bear doesn't say a word, just stares at the wall. I'm shivering, crying silently. Back on deck. Bear takes off his helmet. Walks over to me. You're done. I try to argue. It was an accident. The current. You cut your own line, he says quietly. You almost killed yourself, and you made me risk my life to come get you. I can learn. No, he says. You can't, because you don't respect it. You think this is a game. You think you can write your way out of physics. He points to the ocean. That water weighs 64 pounds per cubic foot. It crushes everything. It doesn't care about your degree. It doesn't care about your politics. It only respects competence, and you don't have it. He fires me on the spot, sent back on the next boat. Sit in the hotel room in New Orleans. Look at my dissertation draft. Artificial barriers, socially constructed danger. Look at the bruises on my legs, the cut on my hand. Remember the feeling of the void. Remember Bear's eyes. He wasn't gatekeeping. He was survival. Realize that if standards were lowered, if the macho culture didn't enforce strict competence, I would be dead. And anyone trying to rescue me would be dead. The exclusionary nature of the job isn't bias. It's a filter for people who will panic and die, like I did. Spend the next month depressed. Review the footage from my GoPro, which survived. Watch myself flailing. Watch Bear moving with perfect economy of motion. Strength, skill, experience. It wasn't a performance. It was necessity. Rewrite the thesis. New title, The Unforgiving Variable Physical Necessity and Meritocracy in High-Risk Environments. Argue that certain domains require absolute adherence to biological and physical realities. Argue that inclusion cannot supersede safety. Argue that the toxic culture is actually a highly evolved coping mechanism and safety protocol. Present defense. Committee is horrified. Advisor tells me I've gone native and internalized the patriarchal worldview. They accuse me of apologizing for systemic exclusion. You don't understand, I tell them. The ocean doesn't negotiate. They fail my defense. Denied PhD. Leave academia. Don't care. Get a job as a safety coordinator for a logistics company. Real work. Real risks. 2 years later, bump into Tex at a bar in Houston. He recognizes me. Hey, it's the professor. I buy him a beer. Ask about Bear. Bear retired. Bad knees. I'm sorry about what happened, I say. Tex shrugs. You lived. You learned. That's more than most tourists get. He clinks his bottle against mine. At least you know now. Know what? That the world is heavy. Drink the beer. He's right. The world is heavy and you have to be strong enough to lift it. No amount of theory changes the weight. The world is heavy and you have to be strong enough to lift it. In Texish, heavy and you have to be strong enough to lift it. No amount